Hi there, everybody. It's Philip Eidson here, and welcome to this special edition of the Art of Procurement podcast. So in these pretty uncertain times, we're working hard to bring you information that's going to help you make an immediate impact in your organizations. And so we might be actually publishing more midweek podcasts like this one as we work our way throughout the worst of the situation. And so one of the most immediate situations that our suppliers, and I think also our customers, are facing is that of cash management. So earlier in the week, I had a conversation with Amanda Prochaska about how we as procurement professionals can actually help our suppliers who are US-based immediately access funds that are available through a small business administration program, which is backed by the US Treasury. And so I thought it useful to invite Amanda on the show today to share details of that program and also how you can help your suppliers access it. Now, before I go into the conversation, just by way of a quick introduction, really, Amanda is a long-time procurement leader at companies like the Kellogg Company, Kraft Heinz, and MGM Resorts International. Amanda founded HBP Coach, HBP standing for High Performance Procurement, early last year, and I actually chatted with her on the podcast in late 2019. So with all that said, Amanda, firstly, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Phil. I truly appreciate this, and in these uncertain times, it's great to be able to share what we know and support each other. So I truly appreciate it.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate you turning around at pretty short notice to do this as well. So I actually want to ask, just as kind of to set the scene and for context to the conversation, if you could explain a little bit about what the SBA actually is.
Yeah, the SBA is the Small Business Administration, and basically what the SBA is all about, they've been serving small businesses for the last 65 years, and they've been offering ongoing assistance for small businesses across the country, whether they are trying to start their business, grow their business, scale their businesses, or even recover their businesses. And so they offer a tremendous amount of training and educational offerings across the board for small businesses and growing businesses. So we're happy to have a very close relationship with the SBA, especially in these times where the small businesses who have served us for so long desperately need our help.
Yeah, and in more normal times, the SBA is administering loans for us to support small and growing businesses, but those are usually administered through banks. They're kind of the conduit to banks' programs. But now, as we're trying to react to this, I don't know if it's a new normal. We hope it's just kind of a blip as business gets back to normal, but obviously taking some pretty extraordinary measures to support small businesses. And if you could just share a little bit about kind of the relief programs that are available to small businesses through the SBA. And I know this is kind of a moving target.
It is. It's a definitely a program that is evolving as we speak, because historically the SBA offering has been for traditionally like a weather-related incident. Yeah. So if you had a tornado that went through your town or a hurricane, and so it's been very isolated and regionalized where the SBA was offering this type of loan program. But now we're talking about a national economic crisis for our small business owners. So the SBA is working hard to figure out where the program works and where they need to refine the offering to help support all of the businesses across the United States. So they also are approaching it a little bit differently, which is good news because of, I guess, the amount of time that it would traditionally take to get a SBA loan.
Yeah.
So what they've decided to do is work directly with business owners. So when we're talking about the economic injury disaster loan for COVID-19, you are actually applying directly to the SBA, which is unlike traditionally. Traditionally, you would go through a PLP or a bank. And so the loan application goes directly to the SBA. It is processed by the SBA and then funded by the Treasury. Yeah. So they're hopeful that they can get these applications processed as quickly as they can to help small business owners stay afloat during these times of uncertainty.
Now, when as procurement professionals listening, thinking about who are the small businesses, for example, in my portfolio, do you have recommendations on what kind of size those businesses may look like that can take advantage of a program like this? Or is there a kind of cap from an amount of money that a business may be able to loan? Just to kind of contextualize, hey, these are the kind of suppliers that I might be able to help access these funds because these funds are going to be material to them.
Right. So actually within the SBA program as it stands today for these loans, they're actually broadening out the eligibility for the loans. But there is a cap on the funding. So I think that almost dictates what type of companies you're going to be looking at. So the maximum loan that a company can receive is $2 million.
Yeah.
And that's either over a 15-year payback time period or a 30-year. But all non-public businesses can apply for it. Even nonprofits can also apply for it. Now, there are a couple of exclusions that we're still working through with the SBA, like religious organizations and charitable organizations, which really wouldn't necessarily apply to procurement, but just for knowledge.
Yep.
And then also, if a company has had a previous SBA bankruptcy, it's going to be very hard to obtain this loan. But other than that, what we're hearing from the SBA is that they want to look at most of the applications. They want to help as much as they can. And so if you're sitting in a procurement seat, I would be thinking about all your non-public suppliers who have been impacted by closures, by a decreased amount of orders coming through their doors from their customers, and even just other general impacts of where their overall revenues have been decreased by COVID-19. So that's how I would look at it in a broad sense.
Yeah. So when you think about, looking at your portfolio of suppliers that may be impacted, perhaps start from a category perspective, thinking about those that are in industries that may be most negatively impacted from a cash flow perspective, where they had to shut the doors all of a sudden, or suddenly they're 70, 80% decline in revenue. What are those categories? What do they look like? Probably service and people-based companies.
Right.
And start reaching out to them.
Yes. Yeah. So manufacturing companies. So we have a lot of clients right now who we're supporting who had orders on hand that they were going to produce against, and now those orders have been either canceled altogether or decreasing. We also see a lot of service providers, particularly like your facility service providers and other ones that are going out and supporting what used to be an open location that's now closed. That has been a great impact. And obviously different industries, if you're a procurement organization that's in a food manufacturing CPG company and I would say a medical industry, you're probably facing different challenges in your supply chain than maybe retail, manufacturing organizations, hospitality organizations, et cetera, that have been needed to basically shut down completely.
Now, is it fair to say that the loans are aimed more at folks who are having cash flow issues as opposed to ones who are struggling to invest to support the growth? So let's say there's companies that provides a highly in-demand service right now, but they can't invest the money that they need to grow fast enough to provide the equipment or the products or whatever. It's really to help those that are struggling with the downturn in cash.
Yeah, and the language that we receive from the SBA is that the funds are provided for working capital to cover normal business obligations and necessary operating expenses. So basically, if your revenue has declined or you've needed to shut down your operations, it's really to cover your ongoing obligations that you still need to meet. Yeah. So it's not intended to be I was already struggling as a business, and so now I need another loan. Yeah. It's not that, and it's also not really targeted to those companies who are now in extreme growth mode in certain supply chains to meet the new demand.
Okay. So for procurement professionals who are listening, what's the best way armed with this information that they can help their suppliers or relevant suppliers who may be impacted and be able to take advantage of these opportunities?
Yeah. So there are various ways to do that. Obviously, the SBA is always there to help. So if you have a good connection with the SBA, they have the most updated information that is available on the marketplace today. Now, what I would say is the application process is not overly simple. It is very convoluted, and you can only do it once. So if a supplier does it incorrectly the first time, they kind of have to live with it until they get a case manager assigned if they get approved, and then they maybe can make the justification for it. But so there are a ton of resources out there, including HPP, who can help companies get the right application in the first time to represent their company in the best light to receive these loans. So I would say for information, start with the SBA, and then there are many service providers out there that can assist suppliers to help get this funding.
Yeah, and so for procurement, we can facilitate those conversations to make sure that the suppliers maximize the chances of getting this right the first time, and not, it sounds like they submit an application and it's not successful. There's not really a right of appeal to that. That was the chance. Probably just because of sheer volume of, I can't imagine how many small businesses are going to be applying to this program, and the increase in caseload on the SBA to manage it.
Right. So we do know from our close relationship with the SBA that as of Monday morning, they received over 700,000 inquiries.
Wow.
From business owners across the United States. They also received just over 30,000 applications, just in the first full week of this being available. So yes, you're absolutely correct. What companies with suppliers need to make sure that they do is that they represent clearly their company through a narrative or through the right financial documentation behind the scenes, so that they can make the most appropriate argument for the money that they need. And really that's what we're looking at HPP, how to facilitate that process so that we can write that narrative with the business owners to completely explain their situation and make their case for them.
Okay. Well, Amanda, I want to thank you so much for kind of sharing the details of this program and what we can do. So right now, you think about the way that procurement can add value. And I think we're all going to find this as an opportunity for procurement professionals to add value in ways that perhaps we haven't done before. And this is one of them. It's, perhaps something that we wouldn't necessarily even thought about in the past, but now there's a way that we can really try and help protect our suppliers, become one of those customers of choice in the long term, because relationships that I've been telling folks, relationships that we build now are relationships that will last a lifetime. If you're able to be there to support, suppliers, even customers when they're in their greatest need. So I think it's a great program. I think it's great for procurement to be involved in that. And if anybody who's listening would like to know a little bit more, reach out and connect with you directly, where would be the best places for them to find you?
So they can find me on LinkedIn, just by looking up my name, Amanda Prochaska. They can also go to hppcoach.com and find information about the recovery services that we're doing. And they'll find us on a webinar every Tuesday and Thursday that we're offering to anyone who wants to join to learn more information as this program continues to evolve. One thing that I would like to say, and just my closing thought in procurement, what we want to avoid is having a supply chain that looks like Swiss cheese, right? As we come out of this crisis, my personal mission, if I can make it that, is to ensure that our supply chains stay intact, and everyone has an opportunity to help serve each other right now. And if we can go out and help serve the suppliers who are in need, they will be grateful and have that more robust relationship as a result in the long term.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We're just trying to share the message and offer some support to the suppliers in need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're all in this together. I think never more so than right now. We all need to be able to support and help all those that we have the ability to do so. So I think it's a great initiative.
Thank you.
Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to include links for anyone who's listening who is interested over to HPP Coach, to your LinkedIn profile, so they can reach out directly and get in touch. And all those are going to be artofprocurement.com/podcast. So artofprocurement.com/podcast. You'll find the show notes for today's episode and all the links that we just talked about. So Amanda, one last time, I just want to thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome, and thank you for the invite.
Thank you. Hi there, I want to thank you for tuning in to today's podcast. You can check out all of our back catalogue at artofprocurement.com/podcast, where you can also subscribe to our newsletter to make sure that you never miss an episode. And if you found value in today's show, I'd love if you would tell a peer, or perhaps go and rate and review by going to artofprocurement.com/review. Word of mouth really is the best way to help the podcast grow, and if you're able to do either one of those things, I would truly appreciate it.